They once worked together a long time ago. They're not friends now. They don't like each other. And yeah, 50 has taken every shot, especially.
Will explain why he's speaking out now.
He said he's speaking out because he believes Diddy's a predator. He wants accountability, and he doesn't want someone like this to run unchecked.
They used to be cool years back, but now it's ice cold beef. No love, no respect, just a rivalry that got personal fast. 50 Cent isn't tossing playful jabs anymore. He's aiming straight for the pressure points and making it sting. When people asked why he's pressing this hard, his response came sharp and simple. No fluff, no filter. He says Diddy's been moving unchecked for too long and that it's time for real accountability. But then the saga twisted in a way nobody saw coming. Word is, the footage at the core of this storm was never supposed to see daylight. Insiders called it too explosive, the kind of tape people lock away and pretend never existed. Too risky, too messy, too dangerous. At least that's what people close to it have claimed. Somewhere between alleged betrayal inside Diddy's own circle and 50's patience running thin, that one recording, yeah, the one meant to stay buried, popped up online, and when it landed, it didn't just trend, it blew up the timeline. Not Diddy, not his lawyers, not the PR machine could slow the blast, according to the chatter swirling on December 1st, 2025.
Out in front of this and, tried to persuade Netflix not to come forward with it. I think it's an interesting argument because what they're claiming is, Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent, has had a long-standing, animosity against Diddy and sort of vice versa. And because he's at the helm, they're arguing this can't be taken seriously. This should sort of be seen as propaganda. And one of the things that Netflix hit back with was, yes, he's the executive producer. He doesn't necessarily have creative control. And that's something we...
Suddenly, the guy many once crowned the most powerful name in hip-hop wasn't steering the ship. He was watching the tide turn against him, or so the reports say. That's the piece people keep looping back to. Not just the hit to his image, but the loss of control over the narrative itself. Observers say he didn't just take a public hit. He lost the one thing he could never afford to drop: command over the story. Which is why the rumored Netflix rollout is being framed like more than a doc. It's being talked about like a televised takedown, with the spotlight held not by a prosecutor, but by the culture itself. It's his oldest enemy in the game. Before the premiere even dropped, Diddy's legal squad reportedly went into overdrive trying to shut the whole project down, claiming it was nothing more than slick propaganda. Basically a 50 Cent hit piece dressed up as a documentary. But Netflix wasn't backing down, insisting 50 had no final say over the cut, no matter how heavy his influence looked. Then, boom! The night before the premiere, Diddy's team allegedly pulled a major move with a cease and desist, accusing the whole production of being built on stolen footage and private recordings that were never meant to go public. And those recordings, they're what flipped the entire situation, at least according to how the docuseries lays it out. The clips supposedly catch Diddy in the days before that explosive September 2024 moment, ranting, pacing, demanding loyalty from people already inching away from his side. The irony hits hard because the same cameras meant to guard his image might have captured the very scenes that cracked it apart.
Put his hands on females, put his hands on producers, executives. That's just his, I guess that's what the whole name Bad Boy comes from, that people don't really understand. What is it? What is a bad boy? Why did he choose that name? He never really gave a clear definition of how he feels about it.
Viewers see him in a hotel suite, snapping at his team, barking at his lawyers, trying to patch things up before they blow. But the vibe isn't calm, it's chaos. It sounds like a man who just realized the empire he built might be closing in on him. And that's when the bad boy brand starts shifting. It doesn't feel like a slogan anymore, it feels like a warning. Then came the moment that went viral. Diddy in Harlem smiling for fans, then instantly recoiling and asking for hand sanitizer, like the crowd was beneath him. That short clip hit different. It was polished charm on the surface, but behind it, people saw something colder, something real. That look of pure disgust, caught clear on camera, hit the internet like a shockwave. The second that angle switched, everything changed. That sharp contrast made people say, this isn't confusion, this is who he really is. When the mask slipped, it slipped hard. And behind the scenes, the legal scramble kicked off instantly. Reports say his lawyers tried to fight back using attorney-client privilege, claiming private strategy talks got leaked without permission. But by the time that argument landed, it was already too late. The clips were out, the web was buzzing, and there was no spin strong enough to stuff that footage back in the bottle.
That I have about the documentary, it was just old news, and they took a couple of with the footage from Puff from the days that's leading up him to get arrested, the incidents with the people from the courts, the two people from the courts. So it was nothing new.
Netflix fired back, standing firm that everything was obtained legally. The rights were locked down, and the source was staying protected no matter what. Director Alexandria Stapleton added even more fuel, saying Diddy had spent decades recording himself, building his own massive archive, without realizing he might have been filming his own downfall. He wanted the world to see the behind-the-scenes grind, and now that's exactly what's happening, but not on his terms. When Netflix reached out for comment, Diddy's camp reportedly stayed silent right up until premiere night. Then suddenly, the tone flipped. Lawyers got loud, urgent, and aggressive. But by that point, the story had already moved on. The public conversation wasn't about guilt anymore. It was about finality. People stopped asking, "Is this real?" and started asking, "How long has this been hidden?" Even some of his old defenders began to admit it didn't feel like new dirt. It felt like missing pieces finally clicking into place. The real twist wasn't just what the footage showed, it was how it got out. Michael Oberle, the man Diddy personally hired to film his life for over 2 years, suddenly became a major piece in the mystery of how this massive archive even existed. The whole plan, as it was pitched, was supposed to be about a powerful comeback story, a film showing strength, control, and resilience. But that dream flipped fast once December 2024 hit, when Oberle dropped a claim that changed the whole angle of the story. He said he never leaked anything. According to him, someone inside Diddy's own circle covered for him while he was out of state for just 3 days. And in that tiny window, the footage vanished. 3 days. That's all it took. Long enough for someone to grab the tapes and pass the most damaging clip straight into the hands of 50's camp. Oberle's side called it a straight-up betrayal of trust, while the internet had its own take. People called it karma. Then came the scene the docuseries calls The Final Piece, the clip that reportedly killed off any remaining doubt. The footage allegedly shows Diddy pressuring someone close to him after playing an explicit party video, using the threat of exposure as leverage. The line wasn't about flirtation or ego. It came off like fear and control wrapped in one chilling moment. That's when the public conversation locked on one heavy word.
Look at how many people he affected negatively. That was his trade-off to gain what he had. His former bodyguard, Gene Deal, said he seen him doing a ritual where they dug. What is that? And I feel like it's being overlooked because they see him doing the dance moves with the baggy clothes. Some of the ladies in his videos were trans.
Coercion. The series leans in on that idea hard, suggesting that if the courts believed testimonies like Cassie's, then moments like that wouldn't look like a mistake. They'd look like a pattern. They weren't just isolated incidents. They looked like part of a pattern. But the docuseries doesn't stop at one explosive clip. It zooms out, exposing the entire world that surrounded him for decades. It dives into those legendary white parties, the private nights that once looked like pure Hollywood glamour, A-list stars floating around like it was the Oscars of excess. Everything sparkled on the surface, but the show contrasts that shine with what neighbors and locals allegedly endured. Late-night complaints, police calls, and reports of guests stumbling outside at dawn, looking lost and dazed. From there, the documentary draws lines between that party scene and the lawsuits that kept stacking up. It revisits old claims from different years, one involving a minor back in the late 1990s, another from a security guard who said he was drugged and assaulted in the mid-2000s, and even a former adult performer who claimed she was groomed through multiple events. The series hits one message over and over again. This wasn't random. It looks systemic. Then the story flips back to Diddy's own words. Right before his arrest, the docuseries says he was caught on camera snapping at his lawyers, saying they were losing, and when someone tried to calm him down, he fired back hard. The whole exchange plays like raw panic, not a man in control of a crisis, but someone realizing the walls were closing in fast. Once celebrities started reacting, the noise went crazy. Ja Rule blasted 50, calling him a dry snitch. Marlon Wayans warned about karma, but then got roasted when 50 posted old clips tying him to the same party circles. Joe Budden took a colder stance, saying the film wasn't just about Diddy, it was about the system that let him move unchecked for so long. Labels, lawyers, execs, artists, everybody who ate off the empire while the cash kept flowing. And that's where things start getting real dangerous, because suddenly, it's not about one man anymore. It's about the machine. The docuseries points out that empires built on silence only last as long as everyone inside keeps their mouths shut. But right now, that silence is gone. The dam isn't just cracking, it's collapsing loud and fast. Whispers are turning into testimonies and rumors into lawsuits. People who stayed quiet for years are finally talking. Voices trembling, but still spilling what they've held in for too long. And the more they talk, the clearer everything starts to look. It's not just one man falling, it's a whole structure being exposed piece by piece. Because systems like that don't run on emotion. They run on money, power, and control.
Collect everybody's phone. So now it's just your word against a billionaire. You're gonna lose. Read this right there.
That's why the conversation shifts straight to the moves happening behind the curtain. This isn't only personal, it's financial. It's leverage, it's reputation, careers, brands, and bank accounts all tangled together. And that's why Kim Porter's 2018 passing keeps getting pulled back into the spotlight. Officially, Los Angeles County ruled it natural causes, but online chatter never really stopped. The docuseries leans right into that tension, hinting that maybe what she knew, or what she had access to, could explain why her name keeps coming up every time this story explodes again.
Where Diddy said to her, she testified that he showed her a video of a freak-off that she participated in and said, if you don't participate in another freak-off when we get to New York, I'm gonna put this video out. I'm gonna send it to your mother.
And that's coercion.
She testified to that.
If the jury
if they believed her,
yeah,
that's coercion. They would have kept.
Whether it's speculation or suspicion, that part of the narrative keeps haunting the conversation, reminding everyone how deep this web might really go. The legal heat just keeps rising. Lawsuits are piling up fast. Former employees, producers, and insiders from Diddy's old circle are all coming forward, each fighting over what they say happened and what they claim they're owed.
Book Porter allegedly recounts discovering and making copies of the tapes that Diddy made of himself having with young boys that he was managing, including an alleged tape involving an 18-year-old pop star.
What used to get buried quietly under NDAS and secret settlements is now exploding into open legal warfare. And this time, it's all out in the spotlight. But what's wild is how the public's reading it. These lawsuits aren't just being called justice, they're being called payback. When an empire starts collapsing, memories come flooding back. Everyone who once stayed quiet suddenly remembers what they saw. Everyone who played along starts backing away. And everyone who felt used now wants their version of the truth on record. And just look at the timing. It's no coincidence. The docuseries drops, and right after that, voices that had been silent for years start speaking up. That doesn't sound random. It sounds like survival. People rewriting their roles, flipping loyalties, scrambling to land on the right side of history before the final curtain falls. But here's what's really shaking people. It's not just what's already been shown, it's what hasn't been revealed yet. If the clips that surfaced hit this hard, imagine what's still sitting in the shadows. The documentary drops a chilling hint. Diddy's been filming himself nonstop since he was 19. Every meeting, every party, every private talk, all part of one massive archive. And if even half of that is real, the question stops being if more tapes exist. It becomes who else is on them. Friends, artists, execs, people who smiled for the cameras, laughed at the jokes, and looked the other way when things got dark. That's the part that's got the industry nervous, because when those tapes roll, nobody knows whose face might pop up next. That's why the pressure hitting now feels way heavier, because a tape isn't just a scandal anymore, it's leverage. Every clip is a weapon that can shift power overnight. So the big question becomes, how far will people go to keep those recordings buried? How much cash will be thrown around to buy silence? And what happens when someone finally decides the silence just isn't worth the price? Power only lasts as long as people keep protecting it. And right now, Diddy's inner circle isn't just cracking, it's turning on itself. Roger Bonds, once described as Diddy's head of security, broke down in tears and dropped a chilling hint. It wasn't just Sean, it was something bigger. He talked about a network, a setup where multiple people held pieces of the same responsibility. And when the man who was paid to protect starts talking like that, it makes everyone wonder, what are the ones off payroll about to spill? Then come the workers, the assistants, the road managers, the people who were always in the room but never in the spotlight. The artists who walked away from Bad Boy with stories too heavy to tell until now. That's the real shift happening. The documentary might wrap up, but the reckoning's just getting started. If anything, it's blown the doors wide open. And the biggest question hanging in the air now is simple but explosive. Who's next? Because Diddy didn't build that world solo. Those legendary white parties weren't just private fun. They were industry gatherings packed with faces from music, business, and entertainment. Too many people, too many careers, too many silent deals keeping the machine running. So when federal agents reportedly raided homes linked to Diddy back in 2024, the reaction was instant. Everyone started asking the same question out loud. If the walls are really closing in, how many more names are about to fall with him? What else did they find? What names were buried in those files? How many powerful people are sweating right now, wondering if their past is about to headline tomorrow's news? Because this story was never just about Diddy. It's about a whole system built on untouchable fame and unchecked power, an era ruled by people who thought consequences were for everyone else. But now, the rules have flipped, and the spotlight's cutting deeper than ever. So where do things stand? A mogul in custody, a family clinging to denial, and an entire industry holding its breath while the footage that's already out there is said to rewrite everything we thought we knew. People are whispering that more tapes exist, recordings that could torch whatever's left of that once untouchable legacy. Artists who used to shout his name are suddenly acting like they barely knew him, while fans are left staring at the music they grew up on, asking themselves how much of it was built on shadows no one wanted to see. This documentary gave answers, sure, but it also dropped bigger questions. What happens when the last loyalist finally flips? When the final NDA runs out? When the next tape drops and there's no one left to cover the fallout? Because one thing's certain, people believe this story's not done, and if this much surfaced while he still had influence, imagine what could spill out now that he's lost it. So tell me, how deep do you think this goes? Are we witnessing the downfall of one man or the unraveling of a whole empire built on silence, power, and control? Drop your theories in the comments. I want to hear what you really think. Stay sharp, stay skeptical, and never ignore the secrets people fight hardest to keep buried. We're just getting started. Hit that like, share, and subscribe if you're ready for what's next. Because this story, it's far from over.